I fear no man. But that cop, he scares me.
No, I ain't talking about the freak, alright? He's not here, is he? Hey! ¿Puedes quitarme esta chingadera?
One shudders to imagine what inhuman thoughts lie behind that mask. What dreams of chronic, unsustained cruelty.
Don't worry, I'll get us some new blocking the light.
Hello everybody, not burning alive at the moment here. Today we are taking a look at Ready or Not, a very dark and disturbing tactical shooter that I really dig. And as with the things that I like, I look for the ways to destroy my enjoyment of it, and I finally come up with one. I struck the entire game alone, no AI, no friends, alone like a finger. So, without further ado, let D, our hero of the story, jump right out of his retirement. The first mission is nothing special and it is an absolute cakewalk. We are being deployed to a robbery attempt at a gas station where four twins decided that it's easier to steal money with some shotguns and pistols found in a dumpster rather than finding a job. In order to get an S rank on the level, in addition to bringing order to chaos, aka copying every single goon on the level and securing every civilian, you will also have to find every single piece of evidence, every soft objective, and make sure that nothing dies by your hand. Or if you are very unlucky, by the hands of the suspects. The only really scary moment was when the final suspect slammed the door on me and loaded a couple of rounds into my arm, which could have ended really badly considering that I didn't have any kind of armor and was running subpar equipment.
Yo, what the fuck?
Police, drop the weapon! Get down on the floor! Police, don't move!
Listen, man, I don't want to die here.
Second reason is a swatting request onto a streamer who's not only a regular to Blue Archive Steam forums, but he's also so AI pilled that he hung some AI generated posters in his room. Also look at his thumbnails, this man is too cringe to be kept free. For this mission I decided that enough is enough and equipped the finest less than evil option, the beanbag shotgun. Unlike the Pharaoh's Curse dispensers, the beanbag shotgun doesn't take 3 centuries to make a suspect compliant, just make sure that you ain't aiming in the head. Overall, nothing hard. Oh, also don't forget to grab Blue Archive dozens, streamer's SSD, and pat the service on the first floor of the complex.
Somebody please help!
Get back!
Still make it out of this. Drop the gun and let her go.
I'm not going in!
Twisted Nerf is the next mission that we are going to take. It involves a couple of crackheads starting a drug operation after Los Sueños government decided to throw job application leaflets, something like the RAF at the start of World War II. After politely introducing ourselves to the tenants, we seize the illegal substances and their synthesizers, and also find a miner who suffered an overdose in the Breaking Bad reference building. Overall, this level is not bad. The only difficulty is maybe the fact that the suspect and civilians look exactly the same, but considering that firing indiscriminately with non-lethal isn't penalized, yeah, I don't really think it's an issue. The tunnel area is also pretty easy to clean with the usage of free loot, which unlike in the other tactical shooters, like for example Hell Let Loose, allows you to peek quite far in every direction, so much so that it pretty much replaced regular leaning for me. Spider takes place in Los Sueños de Row, which just like its real-life counterpart, is a complete shithole. The mission is to arrest Dead by Daylight esports player, a former US Army soldier Mr. Brixley, who likes springed up a little bit too much. And I mean the Dormitabus one, not the canon one. This mission compared to the last 3 finally makes it a little bit more difficult, as enemies no longer fight with whatever the fuck Afghani gunmakers managed to smuggle to US. Now instead have proper submachine guns as well as armor, though the latter for non-lethals isn't really a problem since beanbag doesn't really care how much armor you got, it will still hurt. All in all, not a lot of problems. That was very stupid.
Now you fucked up!
Uh-oh, I'm dead.
You fucked up.
The favorite map of conspiracy theorists, Lethal Obsession is a very interesting one. Instead of throwing a literal sea of suspects at D, the devs decided to only have 3 of them, including the head honcho himself, Gerald Scott, who keeps blabbering about breaking the cycle. Man, that sounds familiar. The catch is that the cabin that this mission takes place in is very tight, all 3 suspects have access to pretty good rifles, and most importantly,
Usually carrying a rifle.
Gerald plays traps. Troop mice can be defused if you don't swing the door like a madman and instead push it gently. And if you have problems with finding them, you can always use the mirror gun to see what's on the other side of the door. Also keep in mind that you can use it to see what's behind a corner and whatnot. But since free look is a thing, mirror gun isn't very useful, at least in my opinion. What's also not very useful in this map is gas, as Gerald is the only person in California that has a working gas mask. All these other people, they're fake. They don't work. Truth do. Anyway, don't forget to grab the USIA documents that are near the projector.
We have made preparations in the event that it is not thrown out, and will use...
This and the next mission is what I like to call the Great Filter, as seemingly most of the content creators that do challenges either quit or take a break when playing this or the next mission. It's kinda strange, don't you think? Ides of March pits D against the Left Behind, a terrorist group made out of US Army veterans who are pretty mad about having their founding taken away, so they woke up and choose violence instead. First things first that you have to do no matter what is to secure the corridors, as long sidelines could be a life or death in this level. And if you really like them, you can also use wedges to trap the suspects in apartments. Personally, I just went in raw, and with combination of a lot of gas, really shitty flashbangs, and a lot of luck, I managed to subdue the Left Behind in 2 attempts. Somehow. The only sticky situation was when I went into an apartment where there were 2 suspects literally straight ahead of me, but thankfully gas solved my problem and allowed me to cuff them without many problems. D is called in to raid the Mindfield server building, which previously had been run by people who dress pretty much the same as him. And if you get raided by people who look like D, you deserve to lose money. Sinuous Trails is where the game really starts to pick up in difficulty, not just in enemy quality, as Fortress Security Group, bearing 3 layers of fat serving as pretty effective body armor, are also armed with assault rifles, but also in map difficulty, as it is a pain in the ass to go through, since you have to go through not just 1, but 2 extremely tight areas which would give Beelzebub's hairy ring piece a run for its money, and since barely lethal 870 is a fairly long weapon, I had trouble going through this map effectively. Although looking back at it, I feel like the reason why it took me 18 attempts was more because of my stubbornness more than anything, as it took 3 more missions for me to start experimenting a lot more than just equipping heavy armor. This one is pretty easy, as long as the suspect doesn't jump scare you. D is sent to a house that is managed by Fabuloso brothers who are trying to pay the cancer bill of their grandmother through manufacture of 3D printed SIG P320s. The overall mission is pretty straightforward. You go into a house, clean 1 floor, then another where you also find the money that they were laundering through gambling sites, and finally the attic where the guns are being made. As long as you don't have a brainwork from doing the Mindfield mission all day, you should be fine. Respawns was actually pretty easy to do, but I'm unsure if I just got lucky, or was it extensive rounds of the map that I've done in the past, or if Los Locos, the gang that raided the post office, are just that incompetent. Regardless, the main idea of my strategy is to avoid the main packing area for as long as possible. In this particular run, I started with the main shop and its back rooms, then went to the eastern side building, and bounced back to the western side of the map, where the wide open loading bay is located. This is where the shotgun really shines, since as opposed to the shotguns in normal video games, which have an effective range of 3 Sparkles food fanarts, radio node shotguns are really just bolt action rifles in disguise, able to deal with suspects from a very long range. After cleaning out the yard, I came back to the loading bay where I got another 2 suspects literally right next to each other. Upstairs, stairs I landed a god Flashbang which stunned another pair of suspects, and from the high ground it was pretty easy to subdue the rest of the people in the storage area, and the rest of the mission was pretty much just clearing out the hostages and evidence. The soft objectives in this mission are the weapon cache which can be found in one of the trucks in the loading bay, and a lost Locust member who had seen better days, laying just outside of the FISA office. While the previous 3 missions could be recognized as rising difficulty spikes, Valley of the Dolls is more of a difficulty mountain, which you can see from how I named the footage. We are being sent into a birthday party organized by a movie porn creator Amos Voss, who according to the wiki is based on Jeffrey Epstein, and I don't know who came up with this, but it's way more entertaining than I thought of crashing a Diddy party. Let's just hope that he doesn't kill himself in the prison. The mansion that we are storming is divided into 3 sections. The main house, which has 3 floors, the backyard where most of the civilians are usually located, and the basement where you die if you take a step too far. Son of a... The other which I clear out the mansion is fairly unorthodox, but if you run this map long enough, I'm sure you are going to understand the method to the madness. I usually start with clearing out the topmost floor, where you can also find child porn, one of the soft objectives. After that I move down to the lower floor, not with the staircase near the gym, but with the staircase by the spawn area, thus reducing the amount of guards that might be alarmed. It's also better because you are not going through this choke pointy bridge that you get crossfired harder than on the beaches of Normandy. With everyone on the second floor being in custody, I proceed not into the main foyer in the bottom floor, but to the basement, because over the recordings I become straight up traumatized by it. So clearing it as soon as possible became a priority for me. While here, tap the spooky dark room for the soft objective and come back to the bottom floor. Now be extremely careful, as suspects unlike you can see through the glass and it's very easy to get killed here. Thankfully, this is the only place where this could happen on the map, as the SMGs that Bolton Security has are garbage at penetrating anything harder than a cardboard. The final area I tackle is the backyard, which offers long-range sidelines and the hedgerows that give me a heart attack every time I think about them. Overall, it ties with the basement for the most difficult area to clear out, as you not only have to account for the security in full force who can still trickshot you through the glass just like in foyer, but also with civilians running around. And unlike in the lethal runs, you can't just afford to break a window on the top floor and snipe the suspects, because if you were to do so, you would have to go all the way down and cuff them, and by the time you're down they are already resisting again. So... in the end, I did it. And you are probably curious, how many attempts did it take? It took 16 attempts. Elephant is probably the most RNG heavy mission in the game if it goes to S ranking, even more so than usual. You have 4 heavily armed suspects, the perpetrator with his 2 friends and their trusty USIA handler. The 4 are usually equally distributed along the western and eastern parts of the building. In addition to the suspects, D also has to defuse randomly placed bombs and rescue probably the most amount of civilians in the mission. Sounds easy, right?
Quickly, a hostage was just executed.
Yeah, that's the problem. And to explain how this happens, we need to go into the main driving force of the suspect AI, namely the morale and stress mechanics. Morale represents the willingness of the suspect to fight back against D, and it's lowered by shooting, tasing, flashing, or exploding them. Once it reaches 0, suspects give up. And as for the stress mechanic, it represents how desperate and stressed out the suspects are. And in addition to all the mentioned actions, stress is also gained by running or opening doors. In this mission in particular, suspects are already stressed out, and as such they will be roaming around the school looking for the next victim. So D needs to be fast and equipped with the most powerful non-lethal weapon in the game, the Taser. Yes, I'm completely dead serious. The stun gun not only paralyzes the victim but also drains the morale as effectively as beanbag shotgun, with the advantage that it's completely silent as opposed to the pepper balls and the shotty. It even comes with a catapult which gives you a better bash and a goddamn laser sight, allowing you to get some insane shot if you practice aiming with it long enough.
Oh my god!
Slowly.
What? I mean, for the love of God, it's even capable of resurrecting people. What? Huh? The only caveat that the taser has is that it only has 2 shots in its clip, and it's placed in accessories, meaning that you have to fish it out of your pocket every time you want to use it, and when you cuff somebody, you either go back to your primary or secondary, which is very annoying. So yeah, if there would be a competition between most overpowered things in the game, and I would have to choose between Free Duke and the taser, I would have a hard time, honestly. Going back to the elephant in the room. This is the moment in the playthrough where I seriously started to use morale and stress to my advantage. Sneaking, peeking doors, not running around like a headless chicken hoping that I won't die. In the end, I managed to subdue all the assailants not just once, not twice, but thrice without them killing any of the hostages. And the only issue is that on the first try, I apparently misfired my taser and caused a civilian to lose consciousness. The second saw me fail to find a bomb, and when I found it, it exploded right into my face. Third time was indeed the charm, and also was the reveal that I recorded the voices of the people that were watching. You know that I'm recording the voice, right? Rust Belt is one of my favorite missions in the game. It starts very unassumingly, with pretty well-armed Los Locos guarding a farmhouse on the border with Mexico. Once we investigate the main house, which also has a lot of seized passports, we discover this. A whole tunnel system beneath the border, which ends in an underground river that is used to smuggle people across the border, which is just such a cool concept. Even better, it connects to the ruins of some long-forgotten Mesoamerican civilization, which brings me really big rats-in-a-wall type of vibes. As for the gameplay, there isn't much to talk about. Underground is divided into 3 tunnels, which usually hold pretty isolated numbers of bad guys. I highly encourage you to use glow sticks, as these can be pretty confusing to navigate. All those tunnels lead to aforementioned cave with the underground river, which could be pretty dangerous because it's a pretty big area and there's a big chance D could end up in a crossfire from multiple angles. Sins of the Father is a mission that is hard on paper, but in practice is pretty straightforward. We are being sent to a penthouse overtaken by the Secret Service, which is sympathetic to the Left Behind movement. As such, they have top-of-the-line equipment and good armor. However, just like in Ides of March, I either got incredibly lucky or Left Behind all had lobotomy in the army because I had no troubles with them again. And I'm gonna be honest, this and Sinuous Trails is the least played map by me, so I can't really give any solid advice outside of taking things slow and being careful because they set up trip mines again, but this time around only with flashbangs for some reason. Welcome to the perpetual cycle of torment that is Neon Nightclub. In here, D faces a terrorist organization called The Hand, which attempts to kill the fire before their land dims out, because the US did what US does best and bombed villages over in Yemen, which made the members really mad, and because of that they decided to shoot out the nightclub. So far, I would say Neon 2 probably houses the most dangerous suspects we've encountered yet, as Hand almost exclusively uses 7.62 by 39 rifles and LMGs. To add insult to injury, they have increased morale and start with low levels of stress, making them much more difficult to take down compared to your normal goon, but at the same time it allows them to do some rarely seen things, like attempting to follow the Reaper, for example. No! 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 Do not! Don't kill yourself. Never kill yourself.
He was about to kill him. I didn't know they could do that. I could swear that every single time. Nice hiding spot, bro.
No, never kill yourself.
You need to relax.
Speaking of, about 2 or 3 suspects will have suicide vests on, which entails that they'll never surrender if you get close to them, no matter how much you shoot, stun or gas them. It is imperative that you move out of their explosion radius if you want them to get on their knees, because they are hard-coded to edge you otherwise. With all that said, if there's a will, there's a way, and after about 7 deaths, I found a solution. Since the club is a pretty close quarters map with the engagement distances no longer than 30 meters, the taser will do wonders here. So I ditched gas grenades and went for this monstrosity of a loadout instead. Starting with the entrance area, I go through the employee dressing room, into the side door with a balding ginger woman, and clear out the walkway. Once it's secured, I make my way onto the second floor and go into the security room, as there's a big chance that Quadama, Hans' head, is located there. The dance floor on the opposite side of the second room is fairly problematic, as those little lounges could house camping suspects who could be ready to rush you when you least expect it. From the second floor, D infiltrates the final area with terrorists, the bathhouse. The location is a pain in the ass to clear out effectively, as there's a lot of side blockers that AI doesn't have any problems shooting through. In the end, I persevered and got a new appreciation for the taser, which is slowly becoming my favorite weapon in the game.
Hi.
We are being sent to Caesar's car dealership, which is a front for legal firearm trading business involving the Russians and city's favorite punching bag, Los Locos, who supposedly have a big deal going on tonight. Our mission is to find the weapons, find any kind of documents that could indicate any activity of the Russians, and find 2 undercover agents, Alejandro and Whitey. The way I could describe this mission is a way more fair version of Reese Palms, as the layout of theirs is quite similar if you think about it. Both have long sidelines with lots of cover in between, choke pointy side entrance which unlike in Palms is filled with enemies this time around, and a corner building where side or soft objectives are. This mission is a little bit of a turning point in how I use the long tacticals, as ever since Thank You Come Again, outside of special cases like the Elephant or Lethal Obsession, I always favored the gas grenade launcher as opposed to the other 2. This changes here as I figure out that experimenting is cool and immediately realize how much I've been sleeping on the Flashbang launcher, as with the combination of anti-flash goggles, it allows you to move in and clear rooms in literal seconds as opposed to the grenade launcher, which is also not an impact grenade, unlike the Flash and Stinger launchers. Alright, Stinger. You're probably wondering what's the difference between Flashes and Stingers. Which one is better? Well, flash grenades, hands down. They have the same stun effect, same morale drain, radius is the sole difference in their behavior, and most of the times it doesn't even work in your favor, as I very often get caught in a blast, although I'll admit, it might be just a skill issue. Going back to the mission, there weren't any problems with it, outside of finding the last piece of evidence, which surely isn't going to be a reoccurring problem to the point of me installing a mod to get rid of that.
Oh my god. You're so cute and funny.
Thanks.
Can I crush your balls?
Yeah.
The mission on the Cherryessa farm, the map where a misandrous cult of women kills male rapists and worships the best Anthrax song, was surprisingly easy. It was a little bit flabbergasting, as the spreadsheet that I used for most of my info about the game said it's supposedly incredibly difficult, and I'm completely unaware what's so hard about this mission. It's definitely not the quantity of the suspects, nor their placement. Maybe the author had one too many encounters with cultists that have shotguns? Whatever it is, be extremely thorough with clearing out the main building, as the suspects have a tendency of running out of it and taking pot shots at you, which almost costed me the round at one time.
We got a suspect here right now.
Dock to Elephant. Trailers incoming. Proceed with caution.
Drop it now!
The only soft objective in this mission is to arrest the conspiracy room, because arresting 2 of the cult leaders are the main objective. Overall, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. Welcome to arguably the most stressful mission in the game. Relapse takes place about 3 weeks after we cuffed every single bozo over in the Neon Club. Quadama has been almost beaten up to death in prison, and as such has been transported to the Coastal Grove Medical Center. Remnants of the Hand, catching the wind of it, decided to go in and take their leader by force, and also blow up the building, because why not apparently. This map was something that I was incredibly anxious about. It's as long as the waiting time in Polish hospitals, has the most amount of suspects up to this point who are usually well armed, have increased health, and wear disguises. Just like in real life, eh? But as you probably figure out already, my mom did not raise a quitter, so let's jump right into it. Starting in the alternative entryway, I like to get it as soon as possible. Morgues give me heebie-jeebies, you know? I take things as slow as possible, because going fast here will kill you.
Police, get your hands up!
Oh!
Mission failed.
The second floor usually houses the Hans ringleader, most of the times in the MRA room. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm quite disappointed that he doesn't have any unique voice lines, like, you could shout, "Oh, it's you again!" or something like that. Honestly, a very big missed opportunity. Oh, and also remember that this glass is flashbang proof, so don't be like me and waste 3 grenades trying to stun the bastard. Third and the final floor of this building usually houses some pretty light resistance and 1 of 2 bombs. Unlike in the Elephant, they're always placed in the same spot and you have half an hour to defuse both of them. The second bomb is literally stone's throws distance in the kids section of the hospital. You just have to cross the sky bridge and clear out 1 to 3 rooms to get rid of it, and then go to the bottom floor where you die a completely avoidable and stupid death. Twice. And the funny thing is that those kinds of chokes, as I call them, happened more and more often as the time went on, which, as you can imagine, was very, very fun. The final mission of the campaign takes us to Port Hoken to smash the deal of the Spider, that boogeyman organization that all other evils of the city are part of. But here's the kicker. In their grand wisdom, Spider decided that making a deal in the middle of a fucking hurricane is a great idea. Even better, I accidentally disabled the video output for half of my recordings, so you know, it's just me talking to myself for an hour. With that being said, this mission is quite hard. The Russians are numerous. In fact, this map holds the record for the most amount of suspects out of all missions. Exclusively, they also have access to semi-automatic shotguns, so if you are wearing a stab vest or light armor, you might be a little bit boned. My usual route consists of going through the side alley first, as to not get ambushed when I clear the main yard, which is as open as a Waffle House during a zombie apocalypse. What saved me a lot in the open ground was the knowledge that you can actually use the order menu in multiplayer. Yes, I'm aware. It took me 18 missions to figure this one out. Which helped immensely, as it meant that I didn't have to expose myself that much. With the yard being cleared, we can finally go into the warehouse, where isolated suspects are very easy pickings for D, because this map is so big that they usually can't hear all the gunfire from the outside, and as such they are not alerted and more hesitant to fire. After we clear out the warehouse, the only area left is the dark room located in the containers, where there's usually only 1 suspect wearing a gimp suit, along with a fuckton of civilians and a prompt for the soft objective. Speaking of, soft objectives are mostly opening the spider containers, including one where you close the door. It's really easy to find them since they all have that big spider logo and are bright yellow in color. Clearly whoever is responsible for the smuggling in the spider organization is a fan of Dying Light 2. With all that said, all the missions of the base game are completed on the S rank, but we are not stopping here as we still have 6 more maps to cover. Welcome to the dorms, the most infuriating map in the game. The map itself is nothing special. You go to a rundown dormitory filled with homeless people who became homeless because they spent last of their savings on buying guns to get rid of us. The reason why it's so incredibly annoying to S-rank is the ground, as apparently it's made out of Swiss cheese, which causes evidence to fall through the floor into the void never to be seen again. As you might have guessed, this is quite bad for S-ranking, which revolves around getting all the said evidence. There's a workaround though, as one of the Steam users thought that you have to arrest the civilians first, leave the suspects on the ground. You can't use anything but the beanbag, by the way. And then disarm but not fully arrest the suspects, and then arrest them. Once you are done with that, you can proceed and retrieve the summoning key and use it on the terminal outside of the clock tower, then attempt to arrest the civilians and suspects again before cancelling halfway through. And after that, you can see that you've blown up the moon. And then you can finally arrest the civilians and suspects, and then realize you A-ranked it again. Yeah, sincerely fuck this map, but before that don't forget to pick up evidence on the podium on the second floor. It's really easy to miss.
That shots were fired and that it relates to an assault and home invasion.
Yo!
Again,
They
for
name
those
dropped the
just
DLC! Narcos puts us in the residential area to find Alejandro, aka Mike Esperanza, the undercover cop who we're supposed to find back in Bitewise. Poor guy got himself into some really big trouble, as Los Locos called their big brother, the cartel, and as a result he's now crawling on the floor, maimed and barely alive. The beginning of this map lulls you into a false sense of security, as the houses closest to the spawn, including the one with the crime scene, secret room, and a murdered doggo hardly ever house any suspects. And then, you start to see them. The ultimate Los Locos, not only wearing clown caps, but also boasting drum Mark 18s and good armor. Hell, I would even dare to say that they are better armed than enemies in Neon Tomb, but there's only maximum of 10 suspects, and they don't really feel threatening for some reason that I just can't put my finger onto. They have better than average morale and more health, but like, they just feel weak for some reason. And anyway, maybe that's just me. Moving on to the next map. Continuing the trend of maps with middling difficulty and nothing much to say about gameplay, we have the Lawmaker, a level which takes place in the mansion of a rich Scandinavian oil baron who got raided by United Planetfront, a group of environmentalists of all people, and you guessed it, they are very easy to beat despite their pretty decent weaponry. The reason why is pretty much the same as hide and seek and other big maps. Mansion is simply so big that half of the time enemy gamers can't hear you. The only problematic part of the house is usually the corner rooms in the northwestern part of the map, as suspects very often bunch up in there in very large numbers. But outside of that, and once again ghost guns if you are very unlucky, this mission is incredibly easy to do. The first mission of the Dark Waters DLC is a goddamn whiplash. Dee is sent to a hostage situation on a cruise ship of a rich Qatari tycoon, Fahad bin Kahid. His son, Sahid, famous for raping women and getting away with it thanks to his father's status as well as his private security force, decided to kidnap 2 more women and do a general hostile takeover of the boat, and it's up to us to stop them because Coast Guard doesn't exist in this universe apparently. Suspects on this mission are ex-military private security who are incredibly annoying to deal with, not because of their weird AI or any abnormalities, but because of the map design. There are a lot of windows on this map, which entails that 50% of the time I freeze and stutter because I'm unsure if the glass will stop my shots. There's also a lot of props on this map that will stop your beanbag, which, as you can imagine, is quite frustrating when you are up against people armed with weapons capable of penetrating walls. Whatever you do not start at the aft deck. It's way too slow if it comes to finding our main target, who's usually walking around the 2nd or the 3rd floor. And the reason why we have to be fast is...
Hostage has been executed. Move quickly.
Yep, that mechanic is back. I think Void wanted to go with the VIP orchestrating the executions, judging from the Party Crusher achievement. But as usual, someone just had to fuck up and suspects execute civilians willy-nilly, even after you arrest Sahid. After 16 attempts though, I finally managed to extract this map, and I find it quite funny how it's probably one of the most straightforward maps if it comes to lethal runs, but in non-lethals, it's one of the hardest out there.
Humanity can do anything. Look what that gave us.
No, I didn't.
But you did.
No.
Remember United Planetfront? Well, they turned even more radical than Let's Generacion. Actually, I'm pretty sure they would do such an action if they would be based in America rather than Germany. Anyway, those guys took an offshore oil rig and it's up to Dee to take it back. This mission is actually pretty easy compared to the other 2 in the DLC. There are 3 choices if it comes to insertion, and I always pick the bottom deck. And I know that it literally goes against the normal rules of engagement, but considering that we are on an oil rig, I guess we can make an exception. UPF is incredibly easy to deal with in this level, not because of some special trick that makes them vanish, but because Void and the Grand Wisdom decided to give them flashlights on their guns, and as such you can see them from a mile away. For example, if there's some sort of a wall in between you and the suspects and they aim at you, half of your work is basically done by them, as it's really easy to, for example, free lean and stun them with a taser or something like that. Oh, and also don't forget to disable the drill as a soft objective. It should have been a main objective in my opinion, but whatever. One more thing. If you are missing civilians, try to interact with those who are already cuffed by UPF. You need to tag them yourself.
Negotiations are falling apart. Move to secure the premises. Suspects are highly volatile.
Abandon all hope, ye who enter here. For 3-letter Triad is the most ball-busting, most painful level in the entire game. And at the same time, peak ready or not if you ask me. This time around, D is sent into the Elysium Hotel, an old and abandoned brutal structure that really reminds me of home. I used to do a lot of urban exploring of old dilapidated pre-World War II buildings when I was a kid. How does this mission relate to the titular Dark Waters? Well, not by much, but I kinda imagine this map being ready or not's answer to the Duke Nukem's Life's a Beach expansion. We are here to disrupt a deal between some low-level pirates who are even less threatening than Los Locos and Black Sentinel, whose personnel is mostly composed of former Special Forces and USIA agents. Pirates want to trade in a scientist who clearly knows too much, probably because he was working in Hangar 18, and the Black Sentinel on the other hand is trading some sort of a nerve gas, which may or may not be fake. Worst case scenario is Nova 6. As I alluded to previously, this is at least in my opinion the most difficult level in the game if it comes to solo runs, not just because there are up to 24 suspects in the hotel, but also how they are placed. As opposed to, for example, the port map, where suspects are more often than not very far from each other, allowing you to somewhat stealthily take them down one by one. Here this is not the case, often creating extremely chaotic situations where you are being rushed down by 4 guys because you've alerted the horde and now the entire population of China knows your location. The exchange sites are also worth talking about. Just like the bombs in the Elephant, their exact spot is randomized and could be usually taken out with one well-thrown grenade. A keyword usually, as there's one spot where this doesn't apply. Located smack dab in the middle of the map, the exchange site in the lobby is straight up impossible to take out solo. No matter how much I tried, there's always going to be some alerted suspect running into the room and killing me as soon as I cough up the final guy in the room, which by the way has 7 points of entrance. So yeah, word of advice, if you hear beeping coming out of that room, simply restart. There's nothing you can do unless you are going to bring like 15 wedges. On another note, because this building was never finished, there's a lot of holes and other gaps that allow you to get really creative with your grenades, an element that is unique to the map that I fucking love. Most of the 25 runs I did either started in the docks or the loading area. Don't start at the beach since it's way too open and the main lobby is kinda meh as a starting point. Loading bay is preferable, as it does seem to save you some headache, as sometimes pirates that spawn nearby have a tendency to run into the swimming pool area, where they can easily suppress you. Next, I clear out the indoor swimming pool and the toilets. After that, I clear out the top room and its back rooms until I find myself in the restaurant. Now I go to the bottom to this big room, which I could have guessed could have been a dining room, and finally into the lobby. And if there's nothing left, it's over. So that's the whole game, including the DLC's S-Ranked. The only problem were the DLC maps, where I had to use a mod to get rid of evidence gathering as a condition for S-Ranking, as otherwise maps like Dawn become straight up impossible to do. Now hopefully Void isn't going to release some sort of a patch that includes a new difficulty and new maps. That would be awful.